Okay, so today we're going to talk about Crimea and cover. We're going to cover right now, and then we're going to cover Crimea in class. Covering, having cover is about concealment. You cover something you want to protect, and what you want to protect is a specific type of operation. And we tend to think of the operations that we want to cover as being intelligence operations. But there are other operations we may want to cover as well: political, psychological, even civil society operations. And we've talked about some of those, and others we're going to talk about later. But essentially, the word cover comes from covert, meaning covered or protected or hidden. In this case, we want to hide something. So you can do a temporary cover by wearing a disguise. You can do long-term cover, maybe for a couple of hours, couple of days, by having a fake identity. Uh, if you are an intelligence agent in another country, or you may want to have a complete cover with a background and a job. In fact, you may be working for a company that doesn't even know you're an agent. And that is occasionally the case. It was the case during World War II and after World War II for news reporters. We saw it, for example, in Vietnam with cultural affairs attaches. We've seen it with military liaison officers who, of course, report back. And so one of the problems that you have with the diplomatic corps is that quite often countries will suspect them of being spies instead of actually being diplomatic officers and doing diplomacy. The organization may know you are an agent, and that happens occasionally. Sometimes the company itself is a cover organization. An import-export company, for example. We saw that and we see that in the James Bond movies. Not everyone who works for the cover organization may know that it is a cover organization. The company may, in fact, be profitable. So there are lots of different types of cover that you can have for an agent or an organization doing intelligence operations in another country or even your own country. So the types of cover that you want, for example, in intelligence operations depends upon the type of information you need. So for example, if you're collecting open source information, you probably don't need cover, but you may need cover. So for example, if you're in Pakistan, they don't like people who are collecting information. And so you may need cover as being a news journalist. So if you're just out asking questions, they're going to ask questions back. In closed societies like China or in Iran, if you're just out taking pictures of things, they may wonder, why are you taking pictures of that wall or that building, which are not of any cultural or interesting value. Civil society operations, you may need cover because countries can be very suspicious of you. So for example, Pakistan does not like to let very many NGOs inside. And that's not because they don't know that they need some of the work the NGOs do, but because you may be doing things to make people unhappy and they want to make sure that you are not creating unrest. China is the same way. Political operations, same thing. Obviously, the Cold War, a lot of the Cold War was not so much about war as it was taking over countries politically, not through force of arms. You may end up using local people for that. And so their cover is that they are trusted local people. This is how you get some types of organizations that are known to be um, politically and sometimes even militarily uh, covert. Psychological operations may or may not be covered. You may simply need a credible source that has a particular spin, or you may need to pretend that you have a credible source. Special operations, it really depends. Special operations means you're going and you are doing something. Doesn't mean you're going to kill somebody. It may mean you're going to destroy a building, that you are going to kidnap someone, but you're going to go do something that involves breaking things usually. So special ops, you may need some cover at least for a time. With military ops, definitely not. In fact, it's against the rules of war to have cover. So there's a little assessment that you need to take about what is cover and the consequences of cover. And we're going to talk about the uh, Russian seizure of Crimea. And then you're going to write a wiki with your section about how that seizure took place. So good luck.